Hi everyone, and today in this video we are going to read and understand everything about the GST rate changes and the reforms which are going to happen just before Diwali. And because of this news, we already saw a good up movement in the last week, but after that we can see the markets are still falling. So before coming to the stock specific part in each sector, let's understand some important and interesting data points about the GST. And just a quick disclaimer that any stock we discuss over here is not a buy or sell recommendation. So the first point is that after the GST rate cut which will happen, so which parties are going to bear the most loss? And here we can see that there are three parts. The first one is the state GST loss, which will consist of 50% of the whole revenue. Then afterwards, the second part is the state loss due to the fall in the gross tax revenue of the center, which consists of 16% of the revenue. And the last segment is the center loss, which consists of 34% of the revenue. So after the tax cut, we can definitely see that the states are going to earn less compared to what they were earning before. But there's a good news that even after the GST lower rates, we can see that the GDP is going to grow 20 to 50 basis points from 6.3% to almost 6.5 till 6.8%. So after all, in a summary, that is a very good news for the consumer and the economy itself. And now let's come to the next point, and we are going to see the state-wise GST revenue. So here we can see that the states which have more than 30% of GST revenue is like Haryana, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Bihar, Kerala, Gujarat, Telangana, and lastly Uttar Pradesh. And after that, the states which have more than 20% of the GST revenue are West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, and Andhra Pradesh. And lastly, then rest of the states are having less than 20% or 15%. So this was a good and interesting data point which I was also not aware. And now let's come to the next point, where we are going to see the methods government is going to use to offset the losses. So these are the tax measures which is implemented by different type of states. For example, if you take a look at Haryana, so they have increased the liquor taxes across all the several product categories, and they have increased the excise duty in the range of 10 to 24%. And even if you take a look at Karnataka, they have implemented an additional 10% excise duty, and now currently the Karnataka alcohol taxes are 80%, which is highest in the country. And along with that, they have also increased the property taxes by 25 to 30% in Q1 FY26. Even in Maharashtra, they have currently done a hike of 50% on the Indian made foreign liquor, and currently the country and imported premium liquor prices have also increased by 14 to 25%. And next in Kerala, they have increased the land tax by 50% in FY26. And lastly in Telangana, there is a media report which suggests that the Telangana government is going to increase the taxes on liquor and property and vehicles. So these are the measures in order to offset the losses by different type of states. And now let's come to the next part, and we are going to see what are the changes made in the CESS part. So in the new GST reform, the government is planning to remove the CESS part, and they are trying to increase the base rate on the several luxury and sin items. Like for example, if you take a look at the tobacco products, so the current GST rate is 28% and the CESS applied to it is 60%. But in the new GST reform, they are planning to implement 40% on the base GST and 48% on the CESS part. And after that, if you take a look at the aerated drinks, then luxury cars, high-end motorcycles, pan masala, caffeinated beverages, and personal craft, so they are planning to completely remove the CESS part and increase the base GST. So this was all about the CESS, but after this, a question should come in our mind that what is the probability that this GST reform is going to get implemented. So to understand that data point, let's come to the next part. So here we can see that there are different type of GST council members. The first one is the center, the second one is the state, which is the ruling party, the third is the state alliance, and the last member is the opposition. So here we can see that the center is currently having 1/3 of the votes, which is 33%. Then after that, the state is under the BJP rule. So under this, they have a 34% of approval for the GST reforms. Then afterwards, they have a state alliance with BJP. So over there, they have 13% of the GST approval. And lastly, in the opposition part, they are only 20%. So to sum this up, 80% of the members are going to give their approval for this new GST reform. So the probabilities of getting the new GST is very much higher, and the new rates are going to get implemented by 15th October, just before the Diwali. And now let's come to the last and interesting part, which is the key stocks to focus in each sector. So the first sector we are going to look is the FMCG, and over here we can see that in the footwear below 1000 rupees, so the current GST rate is 12%, and that is going to go down to 5%, and in the clothes and in the ghee part, that is also going to reduce by 12 to 5%. So this is definitely a very good change for the lower and the middle income people. And now if we take a look at stock specific wise in each part, so in the footwear there are companies like Red Tape, Relaxo, Campus, Metro Brands and Trent. So the two companies according to my view are the best is the Red Tape and Trent. Then next in the clothes part, there is Trent, Irvin Fashion, Page Industries, Vishal Mega Mart and Vedant Fashions. And again over here, I think Trent is a clear winner, and I have also made a video on Trent. So anyone who want to check out that video, they can definitely go through my channel. And along with that, even Page Industries and the Vishal Mega Mart is looking good. And in the last part, which is the food segment, so one of the very interesting company is the Manorama, which make cocoa butter equivalent and is used in multiple places. Then there are some obvious big companies like Britannia, Nestle and even Bikaji. And now let's take a look at the real estate and the construction part. So here in the cement, we can see the current rate, which is 28%, that is going to come down to 18%. And in the tractor part, which is 12%, that is going to come down to 5%. And the companies which are going to benefit in the cement is the Ultratech, Ambuja, JK and Dalmia Bharat. But according to me, Ultratech and Ambuja are very big and good stable companies. And second in the tractor part, I think Mahindra & Mahindra is the best one. Then next, the changes in the automobile segment, where we can see the petrol and diesel cars, where the current rate is 28% plus the 1 to 3% cess, that is going to come down to 18%. Then afterwards the larger cars and the SUVs, which is currently 28% and with a cess of 43 to 50%, that is going to come down to 40%. And next in the two-wheelers part, where the current rate is 28%, that is going to come down to 18%, which is going to be a very huge relief for a lot of middle class people. And the stocks we can focus in the car segment, the first one is the Maruti Suzuki, Hyundai, Bajaj Auto and Eicher Motors. And in the two-wheelers, there are companies like TVS, Bajaj Auto and Eicher Motors, where they sell Royal Enfield. Next in the travel and hospitality segment, so here we can see that the business class travel, where current rate is 12%, that is going to come down to 5%. And next in the hotel, where the pay is below 7,500 rupees per night, the current rate is 12%. And now that is going to come down to 5%. So the companies which are going to benefit the most in the airline is obviously the Indigo, and I don't think there is any other option, like for example SpiceJet, which is not doing that great. Then afterwards, the companies we can focus in the hotel segment is EIH, Sammy Hotels, Lemon Tree, Indian Hotels and lastly the ITC Hotels. So over here, if I have to select any two companies, so I would select EIH and the Sammy Hotels. Now in the aerated drink segment, so here we can see that the current rate, which is 28%, that is going to come down to 18%. And the company which is going to definitely benefit the most is the Varun Beverages. Then afterwards in the renewable segment, so the current rate, which is 12%, that is going to come down to 5%. And there are a lot of companies in this segment, like for example Vari Energy, Adani Enterprise, Premier Energies, Suzlon and lastly Websol Energy. So in my opinion, if I have to select one company which is doing very good, is Vari Energies. And the last sector, which is the consumer durables, so the current tax rate is 28% and it is going to come down to 18%. And the companies over here are Voltas, Blue Star, Havells, CG Consumer and lastly Amber. And along with that, we can also say PG Electroplast. But after the management guidance which they gave currently and the way after that the stock reacted, it was definitely not a good sign for PG Electroplast. So thank you for watching this video. I hope this detailed analysis of GST was helpful, and write down in the comment section that what do you think, which companies are going to do good in the coming future, and if I have missed any company, and see you in the next video.